subscribe, and share.
Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett and I'm the founder and owner of TechViews Help, and today we are going to do another Android application. In today's application you can actually download it off of Google Play Store today for free. But the one thing to keep in mind is depending on when you download it, it may still be worked on, and it could easily be a placeholder or a full portion of the application, or be the entire application depending on when you download it. So as we go through these videos to make this particular application, I don't know how long this is going to take because my schedule gets dramatically busy, then goes completely to nothing. And right now I only got like today and maybe tomorrow to do it for a couple of videos. So we'll see what we can do and see how long it'll take. So it's really hard for me to say when the full application will be out. But as far as that goes, what is the application? Real quick, my family's recently gotten into beekeeping, and part of this we found that there's several things that could potentially be a problem when you're doing beekeeping. And with this, it will be nice to have a checklist to say this and this and this is there or isn't there, and what is the problem, or have something that spits out what is the problem and the possible solution. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to create a simple checklist. Is the queen there? Is all the openings open? Is this? Is it that? Yada yada yada. And based on what is checked and what's submitted, the application will spit out an answer saying, oh, this sounds like your problem, and this is a possible way to fix the problem. And then we're going to include a separate section within the same application where the person can click on something and they'll be taken to a bunch of pictures of mites and some other things that can also be a potential problem. So they can look at the picture and say, oh, this is what this looks like, so this is the problem. They can click on the image or maybe a button, I'm not really sure yet, and then it would take them to another section and say, this is the problem and this is how to solve that problem from based on the picture. So that's pretty important because I looked a little bit, and you might be able to find something on web, but you can't find something on mobile, which is pretty important because when you're out there, you probably have your phone with you, so you need to be able to see it and say, oh, this is the problem and this is how to solve it. So that's pretty cool. Now, with this, what are we going to cover in these videos? I'm going to cover a mixture of things. We're going to be using Android Studio for this particular application. I may bring this over to the iPhone, so if you do want it over an iPhone, then let me know. That will happen after, or maybe somewhat towards the end of the Android development, because my time, I don't have a lot of it. But as far as that goes, what we're going to be covering is how to make sure your idea is worthwhile. A lot of people, they want to make money off their applications, so we need to figure out, is your application a paid for or a free version? You'll find out very quickly before you even get started. We're going to find out how saturated market is depending on your application. We're going to find out how marketed your area is, and that's very, very important, because you can have a great idea but no one knows about it, then it might as well be no idea. Then and if you can use the help of other things that are being searched for, then that's even better. Then we're going to get into how to set up your application initially on Android Studio, how to upload some placeholders on Google Play Store, which is what's going to be used for this application. And then in that way you have a place on Google Play, and you can just upload straight to there. And then we're going to get into the actual build later on, and this will include how to make the checklist, how to do the if and statements, how to do buttons, because one thing I found is the size of the button matters quite a bit when you're actually out there, because with the gloves on, you can't hit small buttons. And even with the gloves off, it's really hard because you have to be somewhat fast. And being in the sun and dealing with many things around you, it's very, very difficult. So you want to have large buttons, so you just select it and go through. And we're going to deal with multiple colors to figure out what is the best type of color to see and go through it. But anyways, as far as that goes, hopefully this will be a great series of videos for this Android application. And if you do have any questions out through this, then please feel free to leave a comment below and I'll try to fit it into this. But let's go to a quick break and then go into the actual how to find if your application is worthwhile and if it's a free or paid version.
Thanks for sticking around during the ads. Please feel free to click on the icons shown to be taken to areas where you can help us. All links will be below for mobile and other users.
Welcome back. Now, the simplest and easy way to figure out if the market is oversaturated, if it has already been done. If it's already been done, you can still do it. But keep in mind that at that point you have competition. And for the most part, you need to keep in mind what the competition is doing. So the best and easiest way to do it, either on iPhone or Android, is simply search for similar applications. But what do you think it will be called? And then if you can't find anything worthwhile, like for example, I can find a few applications here, but the market's not oversaturated, so I can easily put out one and it can overtake the market if I do proper marketing, which is pretty hard, by the way. It's not one of my strong suits. Evidence is this channel. But as far as that goes, so we know the market's not oversaturated. We can market if we do it right. And if we actually look at the actual applications, which I'm not going to go through them with you guys, you can do it on your own. We can find that there is no other application that actually does the exact thing I was talking about. There's a checklist and it keeps records, but beyond that, we're not in to keep records. We're in the this is your problem, and it's a quick give me a solution. We might add a record database to it later on, so it's all one type of application. But for now, we're going to focus on that part because it's a big task. It's not a small task by any means. So with that in mind, what we need to do is, now that we have an idea, we need to open up Android Studios and form a name. So open up Android Studio. Oh, and by the way, one thing I forgot to mention is free versus paid. It's obviously going to be a free because because we don't know how to market our stuff, or at least I don't know how to market my stuff. It has to be free because you gotta have a reason. If it's iPhone, it's obviously going to be paid because of how iPhone stuff does. Basically, for those who don't know, to develop on Android, you got to pay a one-time $25 fee for the entire lifetime of the developer account. But for iPhones and iPads, you got to pay $100 every year to keep the account, and that's a pretty bad thing. So you want to have that money coming in where it generate an income. So what we're going to be doing is go to the new project, and then we want to name it something related to the project itself. So we can see that for the name, something like a beekeeper would be fine, or maybe a beekeeper tool, beekeepers tool, beekeepers, probably the better one. And what I'm finding, by the way, in case if people are wondering at the time of this recording, is most of the applications are like this, where it's just basically general information, almost like ebooks or something that links to Wikipedia pages or something like that. But for the most part, it's a very easy thing to do. And I'm widgets, now that I'm actually thinking about it. This is also a great area to actually get a idea for what you want to add to it. So before then, I didn't even think about adding a widget to the home screen. That some of this stuff will come down the road, and basically what will come down the road is something that links to Dropbox or Google Drive, probably Google Drive since Android, and then that will allow the person to actually sync their information straight to Google Drive and be able to download some type of spreadsheet or something onto their computer. That will happen a lot later. You're talking about like near the end, but for now it's going to be mostly a is it this, is it this, is it this, and do if and statements. Very simple stuff. So making sure that all spelling and stuff is right enough. I think we need to do a punctuation there, but we can fix that later. Make sure those are capital like it wants. And by the way, I'm not a grammar person, so if anyone knows that I know this shows ownership, but if anyone wants help out on that, then let me know. Let's go next, and let's select next. Make sure that you have the proper, so if you got something in mind, then you might have to go through this list to figure out exactly which one started that function. But since we're doing some basic stuff, any of them should be fine. And what might happen requires 4.0 or above, so let's go next, blank activity, and let's make this a let's just keep it as is and let it build itself. Now, so I can save a little bit of time. I just did this for you guys, and I explain it real quickly. So after the thing built itself, which takes a while, by the way, you get something that says a hello world up here, and basically you can double click it and change the text that it says, and I changed it to that because this is going to be a placeholder for right now, and then as we build on, this will be built. We also added a button. To add a button, you simply find button on here and click drag and drop. Now what you'll notice is with a relative layout you get a free floating. So what we did is do a vertical layout. To do that, you find vertical layout within this, and then you just drag and drop, and you can place whatever you want in the vertical layout within there. And let's get rid of that. So to make sure that this is in the center, what we do is click the vertical layout, the one that this is in, not the text. And then we go down to gravity and select center. Now what we could do, being lazy and whatever, is we could find orientation on there and do that, but I prefer to have it like that in case if I want to do something else in the future. So with that, it's basically the end user, what they'll see is this, and the button does nothing right now. You can click on it, but it does nothing. What we want to do is link this button to YouTube, so they will find these videos and see how the progression is going and be able to actually follow through if they're making it themselves. So with this, what we want to do is we want to make sure that this placeholder stays this all the time. Portrait, we don't want it landscape mode. So if the person does rotate their phone, it doesn't go side 2 because we're not developing for that at this time. So what we want to do is go into manifest. Before we do that, I'll show you. This is XML. The manifest is also an XML. And what XML is used for within Android is for the layout. And the functionality, what a button does, what happens in the background, all that other stuff. Let's find the manifest and open up the manifest real quick. And what we want to do is go to the page, the class. I'll try to get in classes a little bit more detail, but we try to find a class, and within that class we want to tell that class to only be in landscape or portrait mode if we don't want it to be auto rotate. So we do Android and screen orientation, many things, and we just do portrait, and simple as that. And now the thing is on portrait mode. So our next step is to go back within the activity and make sure everything's right, and then move on, linking this up to YouTube. So let's go into the XML side of things, and what we can do is find the button. If we want to change the size of the text, we can go there, or we can go here, as seen here. There we go. Or we can lower it like that. And there we go. We can also change the style, and several other things. If you want to change the color on any of this, the background, the text, or whatever, you will need a hexadecimal. So just go on Google and search for whatever color you want, and then put hex code. And the hex code will be pretty much a bunch of numbers and stuff. So I saw a bunch of useless code this added for whatever reason. So we don't need all that. And you can see that it's now completely centered. I don't know why that was automatically added. And what we want to do is change this ID to something that we will remember. So YouTube, probably a B in front, I don't know. And for this, we can actually remove this text since it doesn't relate to anything. This is just a placeholder. And for the most part, why do you want IDs? IDs are meant to do something with header actions. So say for example, if I wanted to have it where I press this button, it changes this text, I'll have an ID on this text so I can refer it on the Java. And also I would obviously have an ID, no matter what, I'll have an ID for the button because it's going to have to do something, and I got to refer it on Java. And then if I want to go and say do another class and I want to change this text, I would also have the ID in that way. If I press a button on one class, it will change the ID or the text on this one by using the ID. So much ID is used for. The end user is not going to be able to see the ID. This is just the back end. But anyways, let's jump on into the Java. So again, real quick, both XML or both the manifest and activity is in XML, as you can see here. And we're going to go into Java, which is the functionality. So as far as what we're reviewing here, this is virtually useless. Most of this is useless. So what we want to do is fix this up a bit, because we got a lot of code here that we're not going to be using in this at all. So what we need to do is fix this up to just say activity. And then down here, basically what this says is when this class, this Java page, is called upon, it starts up something, and what it starts is the light, which is this. So we want to keep that, and we just want to get rid of, try to find the rest of that. So what I was just doing there, if you actually click next or highlight, it'll show where these brackets are associated with each other. So if I remove that, it's going to give me an error, and I need to bring back that bracket to close this code, because realistically this is basically one line of code. I can literally have this one line, but it's easier to see like this, and you can open and close things with this workstation. Some workstations you can't do that, by the way, so in case if you're working in one of those. So here we're going to get into what that ID meant. So what we're going to do is, since we're doing only one button, there's multiple ways of doing this next portion, and you'll see me do them all in different times. But if I only got one button or two buttons to reference, basically if I got less than 5, probably less than 3, I would use this particular method. But if I got a whole bunch of them reference, which in some cases you even got up to 100 to reference per page on an application, there's a whole different thing, and it's a whole lot easier there. But what we want to do is we want to reference it, and we want to reference it specifically between these brackets. So it doesn't matter where, I just like to keep my things about same. So what we want to do is do button, and do I don't know, let's do a B1, because I'm probably going to end up adding a second button after we make some functions after this video, so people will be able to say, oh, this is a placeholder, let's click this second button and go to the actual thing, so we know this is being worked on. Now all the functions are here, and we will continue on. So B1 would work, and equals button, and as you see here, it tells me to what it thinks I want. So I just press enter if it's right, and then find view by ID. You will do this thousands of times. And basically what we want to do is either start typing what we think the ID is, or go straight to the layout. Let me close this off. Go straight to the layout, and what we want to do is go to the layout, and we go for this ID. In fact, I thought it started with YouTube, so I've been wrong. But we want to either copy this, or I'm just going to type it in, so I'll show you what happens. So B underscore YouTube. Sorry about that, I meant to put R dot ID dot B, and then whatever that thing is. And if your stuff is giving you problems like mine was, then what you want to do is just press the synchronize. And on some of the workstations, it's within build and do clean, and that also helps. So it should look something like this depending on your stuff. Now this will be grayed out because it's not used, so we need to actually use. So this next part would be somewhat easier, Now that we identify the button or whatever we're dealing with, we need to do a on click. So do a button dot set on click. So now that we got this defined, for some weird reason I want to mess that one up again, but now that we got this defined, let's go and move on to the next section, which is telling the button once it's clicked to bring up YouTube. So what we want to do is press enter. Below that, try to space it out a little bit, and then do a B1 dot, and as you see here, it went from gray. Set on click listener, new on click, and you see here it just made a whole bunch of stuff. And then what we want to do is make it a tint. And then we want to name the intent, so I don't know, YT, so YouTube, new intent, and then Android dot content intent dot action view. If you can find it on here, you can just click it. There we go, action view, and there you go. And then what we want to do is close that off, and we want to refer this, so you need to use whatever this is, so YT, and then do a dot set data URI dot phrase, and we want to do quotations, and I'll finish that off in a bit. We'll go back to it and then close that out, and then start activity, and then whatever, and close it off. And what I'm going to do is I'm just link it to the coding thing, and that way the person just goes straight to the coding playlist. So what I'll just do is paste it in, and there you go. Now with these grayed out items, you can go ahead and delete them off. They're useless since we're not doing action bars, but all this other stuff, it's useful, so keep it. You can actually do that number if you want to save some space. But anyways, as far as that goes, let's jump right back on into this one, and let's make sure everything is proper. Now, if we wanted to, we can actually test it. I'm not going to, but we need to actually start working on the images, and I probably will have to come back to that in a second or two, and we can tackle that. And for this workstation, Eclipse is different. For this workstation, what you want to do is go and try to find the ICE launchers. for some weird reason they got rid of this. They used to have it where you can actually upload an image and it will make the images for you. Now it's just that. So what you want to do is find the size for each one of these and make a image and call it that and replace that. And that way these will be the images that show up on the actual application, the icon. And now we got it done. I just tried to record something, but I got several things going on and I ran into memory issues. But basically, whenever you're editing yours, I do have videos on how to edit photos on Photoshop, how to layer and how to resize, some basic stuff. But basically what you want to do is make sure it's within the same resolution as before. And what you can do is simply go and right click and go show explore, and whenever it does come up, just copy and paste that in into Photoshop when you do a save as, and make sure that you just clicked on whatever the icon is and do save as, and you don't even have to close out from here. All you have to do is press synchronize and it synchronizes all the photos over. So from here, let's create the actual thing, and what you want to do is do a generate sign APK. A lot of this will be blocked out, and go next and finish. From here you'll have to wait for the thing to get done, and once it gets done you can actually go and what you want to do is upload that to either Google Play Store or to say your phone or something, and that way it runs it on it. Now keep in mind, if you do end up running the actual thing on your phone and you do upload it and want to upload it to Google Play Store and it wants to be a paid application, you can't buy your own applications. And unfortunately right now, both on iOS and Android, it doesn't say that you purchased your own application, which really it should say, so you can download your own applications. So running a emulator real quick, seeing if this works, and I know it does because I just tested on my phone. To get to the emulator, it's within this section. You do need to download the emulator's tools. Gemotion is an excellent tool. I do have videos on how to use that, but the default emulator stuff will work just as fine, especially for stuff like this, or just as fine. But if you want to do a little bit more advanced, like Bluetooth and GPS and all the other stuff, the emulator from Gemotion is what I would advise. So let's unlock this somehow, and let's go to the, and sorry about that. And what we want to do is see if our icon worked. So it says right here, Beekeepers Tool, and our icon works beautifully. Let's click and hold that and drag that and see the transition background. So it's beautifully, and then we bring it up. It shows, like I said before, the text, the button, and you can change the image of the button. I will show you how to do this later on, especially when we get into how to load images in. And then it's basically, if you want to have a good looking button, you really need to create it. The buttons by default on both, in fact iOS, their buttons are not really existent, but with Android, while the buttons are existent, it's 2D, it looks horrible, so you need to create your own. Again, I'll show you how to do that, and it is a little bit tough, but anyways, just click on this to make sure it works and give it a second or two. And because the YouTube app isn't downloaded, it'll just go straight into the browser, which I wanted, and then we have the playlist, as I said before. Obviously this video isn't uploaded because we are still recording. But let's upload the thing to the development door. Now, some of these apps I'm pretty much going to block, but as far as this goes, the what you need to do is go to add new application, type in whatever you want to name the thing. This that little thing on the application, the name that you just gave it when you first created it, unless if you changed it within the code, that will show up on the Android. And this is just for the Google playlist or the store. So let's do Beekeepers Tool, and let's do upload. Just upload the file and do that. Now, for any update that you do, you need to make sure that you go into the manifest and update the version. Let me show you how to do that real quick. So if you made a mistake, what you will do is just update that and then save and build, and that way it will allow you to make a next version. It doesn't really mean much to the consumer, but for the database itself, or for Google's database, it does mean a world difference. Other words, it won't let you do that. So you can, once you upload something and oh, you made a mistake, you can go back and do it. As you see here, the icon shows up. It shows the stuff at the beginning. I don't know if I talked about that, but shows that we dealt with at the beginning. And let's go into the this. In fact, I'm going to say if you want to put your stuff in beta testers, then go ahead. But I'm just going to leave mine as is, and that way we can update as we go through. Go through the store listing, and we need to do a short description, and then we need to do a full description, which I'll do in a bit. But you need to upload one of these, and or two of these. Sorry about that. And you can get that from the emulator. A high resolution screenshot. It has to be a ZAC. A feature, which be in the background, and everything else. I'll be right back with all that. So real quick, just tell you a tool on Windows that you can use. Instead of doing the print screen, what you can do is just do a snip and make sure that it says new, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's like that, and it basically takes a screenshot of that. Next, make sure that all the other stuff is filled out as needed, and once it says ready to publish, select, and it will take a while. But anyways, below this video and also right around here, we'll have a link to this application so you can check out. Hopefully it'll be done by the time that you watch this. But as far as things goes, please like, please subscribe, please share, and please feel free to comment below. Tell me what you want the next video to be on. Also, if you want to add anything in here, go ahead. Now, if you don't like it, then please leave a dislike and tell me why so I can fix it in future videos. Again, this has been Craig Bennett, founder and owner of Tech Fuse. Nope, and hope you have a great day.